Hello, hello. Today I think I'm just going to do an eyeshadow look. I wasn't originally going to do my makeup today. I was going to do a sans-free makeup look, which is no makeup, literally. But I saw something so absolutely vile on the internet that I was like, you know what? The Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde part of me that's always boring, just lost to Mr. Hyde. I'm like angry. In a very powerful way. Like, it's not external anger, it's just knowing that I'm right, like that kind of like self-righteous superiority anger. So basically, I never link another content creator stuff. One, I don't want to draw views or attention to anything that they've posted or created, but I also don't want people to like go after them, because at the end of the day, like the purpose and the content of my channel is still geared toward making the world a better place and doing things the right thing the right way. So what I will say, what she had said, in a very condescending tone of voice, it's hard to duplicate, but it was, a lot of vocal fry and uplift and just very condescending way, basically, using some similarities with like valley girlism and stuff like that to imply that people are stupid, which is, again, you're never going to win an argument with the person that you're trying to convince if you're going in assumption is that they're stupid and they're going to respond to you being condescending. But that's beside the point. But that's how she presented herself in her argument, is so like prima facie superior, and it's like, no girl, you're just dumb yourself. But anyway, what she said was, keep your political opinions to yourself, basically. I don't follow you for your political opinion, so every time you get on there and say, like, if you support ICE, unfollow me. Basically, she wants people to, like, stay in their lane. And, of course, she is the police and enforcer to get people to stay in their lane. And I find that to be incredibly hurtful. First, you don't have any business telling another creator what they do with their space. You don't. Like, if someone came on this channel and said, I don't support your political views, or I don't like makeup, or I don't like, I don't know, the color red, I would just say, then leave my channel, right? Like, you don't get to influence. I mean, you can influence in like certain ways, right? But this is not one of them. You don't get to determine the content that a creator puts out because you don't like it. That is just so incredibly entitled. Second reason that I really don't like it is it's not just because it's entitled, because like those people are everywhere, to be honest. One of the reasons that I don't like it is because you're denying that person their humanity. You're saying you are only good for, and the recipe that she gave was cooking recipes. Like, you are only good for cooking. You have no business having it's horrible. You have no business having a perspective or a viewpoint outside of your main content area. And that is completely horrific reasoning. Like, it's just not true in the most obvious of ways, because obviously there are lots of people who are good at two things. There are lots of people who can bring insight into the world and be talented at, for example, cooking, right? Like, I clearly love makeup and I'm not a makeup artist. My profession is actually mental health. So for someone to come into my channel and be like, I want to see makeup, not hear you talk about mental health, I'd be like, who are you? Like, this is who I am and how I am presenting myself. I don't think it's reasonable at all. Again, this goes in line a little bit with the first point. It's not reasonable to tell someone what they do with their channel or who they are. And then it also like really fails to acknowledge the power and position that you have if you are an influential content creator. Now, I'm not, so you could argue I'm just talking into the wind, and for what it's worth, I don't care, because again, you do my creative space is not dictated by you, it's dictated by me. which is actually really cool and really empowering now that I've said that out loud. It's kind of cool. You should write that down. This look is everywhere. I'm doing more talking than paying attention to what I'm doing. But yeah, you just basically have no business then telling someone you are in a position of power, but don't use that power because I disagree with what you have to say. How dare you use your incredible influence and money and to make the world a better place in whatever way that happens to be, whether you're left or right or center. To criticize them for doing that is basically saying, you know, with great power comes absolutely no responsibility. Like, I don't know if she realizes in this situation she's the anti-hero. Like, I think it has a lot to do and more to do with the fact that she disagreed with that person's political opinion than the fact that they actually had an political opinion. Because I'm willing to place money that if that person had made a comment that was in line with her political views, she would not have gone on the internet and made a big stink about it and say, like, your opinions are your opinions. I follow you for food. If I wanted politics, I'd follow a political commenter. I have a sneaking suspicion that if that person had said like something in line with her views, that she said more people need to be brave like this, more people need to speak out. You know, I just feel the hypocrisy coming off her, and maybe that's unfair. Maybe I'm. This is like the ugliest stop traffic light look that I've ever done. I feel that her presentation and her genuineness in her beliefs is actually suspect, because I don't think it's the fact that she doesn't want her favorite cooking show to support a political cause. I think that she's upset that her favorite cooking show is not supportive of her particular cause. Which at its fundamental root, it's not just the fact that she's being hypocritical, it's the fact that it's low-key censorship. When you're telling someone not to voice their opinion because they disagree with you, or it disagrees with you, that is in fact what that is. It's censorship, so you really can't get away with that. Well, you shouldn't get away with it. Plenty of people do, but I don't think people think about how damaging their words are, and I don't think people stop to necessarily see when they're impacting someone negative. And kind of like what I was talking about with working on my licensure process is a lot of the damage that you see done to victims. The abusers are like, wasn't that big of a deal. You don't get to decide how something affects someone else. You don't get to decide the nature and extent of someone's trauma. You don't get to decide the nature and extent of someone's voice on the internet. You don't get to decide the way that they present themselves and their decision making. The only thing you can do is perhaps unfollow them, which is exactly what this creator was asking to do. This creator was saying, if you don't support me and my stance against ICE, by the way, against murdering people in the streets, then you can unfollow me. And she was upset that someone would insinuate. What the hell is going on? I use too much product, so I'm overblending. Would insinuate that she should have to do something uncomfortable if she didn't want to hear that rhetoric, that she wouldn't have access to her favorite recipes if she didn't want to hear that. So she either has to put up to listening to an uncomfortable opinion or not get her recipes. Like, it's just, that is such a first world problem. I don't even know how to, I don't even have empathy for that. I try to build empathy, but it's just absolutely impossible. Some days, like, I don't have the energy for the amount of empathy that this woman requires from me. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. In fact, would end the video right now, except I can't. I have to show you this finished look, because if I leave it right now, I will lose all makeup credibility. Okay, I'm back. All I did, I promise, was clean up the edges with my foundation as I was doing my face. I used my Celerado only, and it's still a big, bold, blown out look, but I've anchored it with black, and I am not happy with the yellow. I don't think it's impactful enough, and it's kind of merging and looking horrible. This is definitely an atypical look for me, so I'm just going to take like a gold and pat that all over my lid, and that's going to help just unite the entire look. And just, in my opinion, make it make sense. Now, I did go over my liner a little bit right here, so I'm just going to touch it up. And I used black, like I said, just to anchor it because this is like so out of my comfort zone as well as most people's. And then I'm going to put on mascara. So see, there was a little bit of makeup in this after all. It wasn't just a rant. But I think it's important to like talk out loud to get things off your chest because it helps organize your thoughts. So it wasn't just something to me that became like, oh, this is distasteful. I was like, no, this is actually, like this idea of censorship. Like I didn't come up with that idea until I sat down and was like, yeah, telling people and trying to silence people whose views differ from your own. That's exactly what that is. And it also gets my thoughts off other things. Like it's nice to take a break from doing so much schoolwork because I'm trying to work ahead because I have a military exercise followed by a week-long intensive program. So I'm going to be out of pocket for 2 weeks, and I really don't want to be trying to do schoolwork doing either of those. So like it's nice to take a break from that, do a little self-care moment instead of studying most of the day. It is a Sunday, so I took it pretty easy, but I still did several hours of work. I'm not used to like going into the office, and I have to start going into the office in the future, which is also a bummer. I'm gonna be lazy with my lips because I know dinner just rang, but true example of trust the process. It's a bold look, but you can pull it just about anything off if you clean it up and put a little polish on it, unless you're ice, because I am going to agree with commenter there. If you're on the pro ice side, you can probably stop following this channel too. So that's how I'll end it. You guys have a great day. Remember, beauty's on the inside. Bye.